to the Blue Rooms Premier League season predictions. I just can't believe we're back here again. Les, it doesn't feel that long ago we were in another pub doing these. I don't know if I'm ready yet.
No, I'm not. It doesn't seem like a year ago, does it?
It doesn't. A lot's happened since then.
It was quite the year as well. Looking at it, my 8th prediction for Everton kicked off. I said we'd get our rightful place, which is 8th, and we didn't.
You had some good moments and bad moments in that prediction show.
Yeah.
I said Ben Godfrey would be really good for us, and he broke his ankle within 20 minutes of the first game. Mm-hmm. So, we all had bad shouts. Also joining us this time, Mike Diasha, Dave Downey, and Pete here as well with us. How are you feeling about the season, people, against the predictions?
Do you know what? Weirdly optimistic.
Yeah.
Strangely optimistic, and I know that a lot of people probably disagree with me, but I think as long as we can sort out a couple of goal scorers, I think we're going to be okay. Sean Dyche, I've got every faith in him. Over a 38 game season, Sean Dyche will do the business for us, I think.
You don't sit in the park end, do you, Pete?
Main stand, I get to witness you all leave.
Dave, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, not great. I think we're miles short, and I'm really angry that we're doing the same thing we have done for the last 2-3 years, in terms of not having enough to go into a season with. That said, most people are saying, well, we've got till the end of August, we've got till like the 1st of September to sort this out. Still don't have any confidence that we will. I think we'll see one of those days where everybody's running around trying to get a player signed. There'll be everyone outside Finch Farm, open players turn up in all sorts of different cars and things, and just imagine Dice coming out at midnight absolutely fuming. So take a staying up, that'll do me.
Mike?
I don't know why, but when Dave said all sorts of cars, I just had an image of Willie, what's his name, Nonto,
yeah.
In a Cape Canto.
Shane, that's what he drives.
Yeah.
Or a really old small Fiat Bis. The really original
What's the
Fiat
Only
Bis.
Fools and Horses car.
Fiat 500, the original ones though, they're about that big.
So, okay, how many minutes is that before Les showed his age?
What was the car Rooney got? When he
Car?
was at Everton?
4K,
Yeah, right,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Fiat Bis.
He couldn't drive them, could he?
No, he got that when he could drive. I think he passed his test and then he got that.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Or was given it before he passed his
He's
test.
leaning against it, it was like his
Yeah.
arms folded, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, bless him.
Street soccer really that one.
Street soccer Rooney, yeah.
Remember the show as well?
Yeah.
What was it called?
I
Street
can't-
Striker?
It-
Friend
Street
of the
Striker,
show,
yeah.
Sue Smith was on it, wasn't she?
Friend of the show.
Doing keep-ups and all that.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
remember the one where they dropped the ball from like 2 stories and
And you have to control it.
And you have to put it into a skip
Yeah.
the other side of the car park. Class.
Oh, the fella that was on as well.
Imagine how cheap that was to film.
Very much like this show. But yeah, there was a fella on it. I don't know if you watched Dream Team back in the day.
No.
The assistant manager on it was the fella who hosted that Wayne Rooney street soccer, and it just the way he was calling him Wazza all the time, like he was his best mate.
Dream Team always used to see clips of Goodison, didn't it?
Yeah,
For
because
the
you could turn
crowd
the blue
scenes,
into purple.
But it turned the blue to purple, yeah.
So you said before the start, no monologues or tangents, and I've already turned us off.
I didn't say-
Rooney, Street Striker.
I didn't say no tangents, I said no monologues.
Oh well, I'm fine. Then.
There we go.
I feel weirdly okay about the season.
Okay.
And I think that's in the way that when you've been marooned on a desert island for maybe 3 months, you sort of appreciate that this is as good as it's going to get. And that's all there is to it, and you crack on.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We are going to do Everton-specific predictions. But I thought, seeing as everyone's quite downbeat, we'll do some Premier League ones first to try and get the juices flowing. Maybe people will talk about Everton with a bit more enthusiasm later on. If you listen to this on the podcast, the Everton bit will most likely be part 2 of the podcast. So if you're not really asked what you think about the rest of the Premier League, go and listen to the second part of the podcast.
I'm just going to skip ahead to that bit.
Okay, fair enough.
And if you're on YouTube, there'll probably be an ad break.
Yeah.
What
One
an
of the magic-
advert this is to us, eh?
Yeah.
Just don't listen to half of it. Just go to the second half.
People listen to this bit now, so it's fine. That's
Yeah.
enough. We've got the listen. It's okay.
Right.
So just go on to the
I
next
actually think
one.
most fans will be more interested in this side than the Everton one.
So, like I've said, no monologues at all. I'm going to start with a very obvious question. Les, who is going to win the Premier League this season?
Tough one. I would like to say someone other than Man City, but it's got to be Man City, isn't it?
Mike?
It's just pointless discussing it, innit? It's really boring. Like, at the point at which they go and do the whole Super League thing, this will be a lot more fun. But yeah, City, yay.
Yeah, same as at a whim as well. I don't think, Arsenal led for quite some time. It was a bit of fun, but I don't think anyone's getting near 10 points.
I'd like Arsenal to lead for ages again and fuck it up. I'd
Yeah.
like that.
Or someone else other than them.
See, the thing is, I know it's boring City winning, but I don't really want anyone else to win it. I don't like Arsenal, I don't like Liverpool.
I don't like anyone.
Newcastle can fuck off.
If we could
Don't
just
like
have
anyone.
nobody win it.
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
Peter, do you think?
That's obvious. City, isn't it? Yeah, City.
Well, I'm trying to be devil's advocate a bit. Are Arsenal not a lot better and City a bit worse now?
I think they are a lot better, but that's where you sort of look the really depressing, crushing juggernaut in the face that is City, where it kind of doesn't really matter because City will now probably go and spend 80, 90 million pounds on a midfielder, you'd expect, and suddenly everyone will go, oh, okay, everything's fine again. Suddenly, Kyle Walker's going to stay, he's going to get paid more money, so he doesn't leave. It's just we've sort of been on the opposite side of it, where it's been like this really depression, crushing juggernaut is fantastic because it means Liverpool don't win things. And kind of last season, I think, was the first season where we sort of got to look at it from a different perspective, where it was a bit like, it's actually quite boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas this year probably is a bit more of the same.
Yeah, I think you're right with that, and I also go a little bit further. I think it become a cliche that City could put out 2 11s and finish first and second in the Premier League. I actually think they probably go 1, 2 and 3.
I think that's I don't agree with that. Like I think they've got about 15 amazing players, and I think that the idea that the squad is like they've got 2 players for every position is like they've not really got a left back. Like they've probably got like, with Mahrez gone, who plays wide for them? It's Bernardo Silva and Grealish.
But you know for a fact they'll go and spend money and bring in another player.
Yeah, well they might, but I think I don't think like they've got like 24 or 5 players who like are all amazing. I think they've got like 16, 17 lads maybe they can rely on, and he'll rotate. But yeah, I mean, I am just trying to trigger some kind of debate
The big
here.
question is, do you need 3 keepers on the bench?
No, you don't.
You do these days, how many
I think it's
like
their
nine, is it?
goalies that could probably play outfield, a lot of them.
No,
Like,
most of their goalkeepers could start for us at central midfield. Easy.
But I think Arsenal have made class that. Like, I'm not sure about Havertz, but I think Rice is obviously great for them. Like Timber, you're not sure?
I'm not sure on Rice, and again, it's the type of pressure that's on. I look at Man City go out and spend £100 million on a player, and to be honest, because of the squad they've got and the amount of big signings they've got in that side, I just don't see the same pressure as what Declan Rice is now under. The spotlight is on him so much, especially after Arsenal's season last year. They're going to be pressured to play him through regardless of form because of the amount of money they spent on him. And it's just a massive jump up for him, in my opinion. West Ham. He was so settled at West Ham as well. He was a big fish in, with respect, a big fish in a small pond.
It's a small
West
pond.
Ham. Yeah, it's a small pond, tiny.
We're all
tiny,
small ponds.
a tiny pond. But he was a big fish in a small pond. Going to Arsenal, the pressures are different. And I just feel that could be their undoing rather than the thing that takes them to the next level. I actually think that could be a hindrance to them because, as I say, if he drops form, they're going to feel obliged to carry on playing him, and that could work against him.
Yeah.
And Havertz is a yard dog.
I don't see the point.
He's not a yard dog.
Do you know, Declan Rice is a weird one because if someone spends £100 million on a goalkeeper, you go, oh, okay. Someone spends £100 million on a centre half, you go, oh, okay. Striker, oh, okay. Attacking midfielder, yeah, all right. Winger, yeah, okay. Defensive midfielder, you kind of, it's that position where everyone sort of has that weird subconscious opinion of you could spend £50 million and get someone really quite good and then have a lot more extra money to spend somewhere else. And I think he is excellent, I really do. But does he advance them to that level of winning the Premier League?
I think City will win it still, but I think it'll be.
Do you think it'll be closer?
I think it'll be a lot closer. Yeah.
Really?
Like I think City winning the treble, they're obviously amazing players, but is the motivation
Do you think
that's going to be
kind
there?
of go,
Like I think City's squad has slightly got a bit older as well. Like without Bernardo Silva, another year older, De Bruyne is picking up injuries. Diaz, another year older, Walker, another year older. It feels like they're sort of going on a little bit, but I think last year there was a lot of freshness about Arsenal, wasn't there? And they have the youngest squad in the league. I think they've got players who will be better again based on that experience, like Martinelli, Saka, Ødegaard, Saliba was a big miss for them when he got injured, wasn't he? They've replaced, well, they potentially could replace Ramsdale as well. Who I think, listen, we like to take the piss out of him, but I don't think he's as bad as our fans make out. But I think Raya is a better goalkeeper and an upgrade on him, and he'll improve him there. So I think it'll be really tight between them two, and Arsenal will get a bit closer. But I think City will just get over the line.
I just don't see the resources being pulled together to take City to that distance. Like I can see the same sort of thing happening, whereas like Arsenal win 10 games in a row, maybe from September onwards, and you go, oh bloody hell, something, and then it just kind of falls a little bit apart because they don't quite have those resources to cover, say, if Saka and Martinelli get a couple of knocks over Christmas and suddenly you're down 6 points. 6 points is massive.
Yeah. I think Arsenal's squad is better than City's, but I think City's best 15 is better than Arsenal's. No, I think if you look at it now, when there's going to be 100-minute matches and 9 lads on the bench, and you can make 5 subs. Yeah. I think Arsenal's 20 is better than City's 20, but City's 15 is better than Arsenal's 15.
That's a massive shout.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd go further than with City, I think they'll become the first side to ever do 2 trebles on the bounce. I think they'll come do the treble then.
That's a big call.
Maybe even 4 with the Carabao as well.
I can see them.
And the Charity Shield next season.
Yeah, I can see them absolutely spewing one of them trophies just out of.
Yeah, I think we asked for the FA Cup.
Exactly, like it's like we've done it. If you want to win anything again at this point, if you're a City player and you've been there for a few years, it's another Champions League. You could, because they've got to the point where the league is kind of just standardised for them.
Yeah,
where it's like, well, we're going to win that.
And it's an era then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's such a mad thing to think, where you just go, oh, we're going to win that anyway.
And of course, no team's ever won 4 top flight titles in a row in English football history.
The biggest miss is going to be Gundogan.
Yeah.
And it's weird because he's one of them players who 2 or 3 seasons ago, I remember being like, he's one of them players who's just there. And he doesn't do very much, but he does bits where you go, that's quite good, that. And then suddenly last season just turned into this almost like, well, Kevin De Bruyne can't play every single game, so I'm going to do it instead. Yeah. Like the goal he scored against us, and you just think of those sorts of you look at those sorts of moments and you go, well, that's a player who's absolutely in his ultimate purple patch. That's the best you're ever going to be. And even if we go out and spend an inordinate amount of money, replacing that's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah.
Who's the centre back that just bought?
Gvardiol.
Yeah.
It feels like he'll. It's mad to say that players cost 80 million, but it feels like he won't play much. I can't imagine.
They're trying to sell. Have they sold Laporte yet?
No, but they've got so many centre backs, haven't they? Like, they've got Stones, like Ake, Diaz. Like,
I can't believe Nathan Ake exists. You know?
No, he's great.
Akanji,
like he signed last year, it's amazing.
But Pep started playing with four centre backs, didn't he?
He's got bored.
He's Walter Smith or something.
Walter Smith, the trendsetter with Davy Weir, David Unsworth, was it Richard
Stones right back. Guardiola is basically playing Smith ball.
Yeah.
It's like you get 6 seasons of Football Manager where you've been cancelling the saves every time you do it. Do you know what? I just want to win and have fun. And he's got to that point now where he's like, do you know what? I'm going to play a right winger in goal and see what happens.
Nobody can say they've not done that, by the way.
Oh yeah, everyone does it.
You have a nightmare few games when you
I've still never played football.
I'm gonna do a series at some point where you play Football Manager and it's gonna be a lot of fun. But like during COVID, I did that because you know where you just wanted something nice. Literally any time Everton lost, I'm gonna go back to that save and I'm just gonna do it again because I deserve that.
So we're all saying City the title. Your top 4, so the other 3, we'll go back around first this time. So Pete, who's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th?
I'm looking at. I'm still torn over who's 4th, but Arsenal, United, 2nd and 3rd, and then I think 4th. Depending on what happens with Harry Kane as well, by the way. I feel like Spurs are going to bounce back. I think that they.
Oh, really?
I really do. I think Richarlison for one he's got a massive season ahead of him, and we all know that Richarlison can have these like peaks and troughs, and we know that he can go games without scoring goals. But what the difference was that we stuck with him. I feel like now after a season, I think Spurs will be more dependent on him. I feel like they're going to have to be. As I say, it depends on what happens with Harry Kane. If Harry Kane stays, I can see Spurs getting back in the top 4. Again, another side, Chelsea. Chelsea for me, in spite of all the money they've spent, they don't excite me. There's not the players that they've brought in, and I don't even necessarily think it's purely to do with bedding players in. They just don't excite me. They're a team. I think Newcastle will drop like a stone. I think the Champions League will be too much for them. That's obviously their main goal was to get in the Champions League to get that money in, but I think they'll drop like a stone.
They'll have lots of fun though.
Oh yeah, they'll have a great time getting walloped all over Europe.
Mate, don't knock it.
I don't give anything for it right now. But yeah, Champions League with Newcastle in it. They haven't won anything since before my dad was born. Like Champions League. Anyway, yeah. So I think that that top four, it's quite wide open.
So Arsenal, United, Spurs.
Arsenal, United, Spurs, Newcastle drop like a stone, 7th or 8th.
Dave?
Yeah, I've changed this twice since we met up, by the way. But I've kept my 4th place in, which will be a big surprise to many people, I think.
That's interesting.
So I've gone City, obviously, to win it. Chelsea, Arsenal, and then Aston Villa.
Chelsea second?
Yeah. And then I just think Pochettino will sort them out.
Say who's finishing 4th again?
Aston Villa to finish 4th.
I think Chelsea finishing second is a madder shout than Villa finishing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I'm not just saying it to be like on the edge type of thing, but I think Aston Villa, I think they've got a seriously
Being
good
honest
side.
about Chelsea, I don't think I could name 4 of their players that will start on Sunday against Liverpool.
But I think that's why you've got a manager in there that'll sort that out. I think you've got somebody in there who's he's the kind of manager you want. You've got a side that's just full of players all over the place with 8-year contracts and stuff like that. I think you've got someone in there who's worked all summer to get his key 11 and players in and around it who's got to impress him. I think that's what Chelsea have lost a lot as well. Even though they've signed so many world-class players, first of all, how do you put them all together into an 11? Yeah. But then I can't imagine they'll have drilled in terms of what has been needed to get them to a level where you're thinking, do you know what, if he's injured I can put him in and it'll stay the same. But I think they've got a seriously good manager who I think he's aching to get back into this division and prove himself, because how close to get with what he did at Spurs. He'll do that with more tools, I reckon. So yeah, I think they'll get 7th. The other notable thing is to put United in there as well, even though they've gone and got Højlund, haven't they? I mean, people are trying to talk about him as the next or the other Haaland. I was hearing Peter Schmeichel talk about him the other day, saying that this lad he'll overgrow Haaland. I'm like, you can't make those sort of statements about Pele and people like that. You know what I mean? I think
United that is like to go and sign someone who is like clearly not as good as your main rival striker, like who's got a name that sounds like him, who's obviously going to be compared to him constantly, like,
and he's also very blonde.
Exactly.
Looks like Shelbyville, isn't he?
Like it would be better if he was ginger. It just would be.
Haaland off Wish.
You would think, it's perfect written piece for you, isn't it? Højlund versus Haaland and all that.
Oh God, I'm not sold on United either, but I think Villa will do well. But
and the other thing as well about Newcastle, I sort of agree with what Pete said. I could see Newcastle getting Europa League style, 6th, 7th, 8th maybe. Another side who seems to be doing too much business that I don't think necessarily need. What we've seen from them last season was really impressive, aside from all the stuff that goes on with Saudi and whatnot. You just look at the actual team itself. Eddie Howe's done a brilliant job there. But that expectation has just gone to the roof now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I could probably see him as one of the, maybe we should have asked that question, one of the first managers that goes. See him up there, because I think the expectation level there is going to be ridiculous.
Do you really think it will be?
I don't
Newcastle,
think.
I don't think it will be.
They could finish 10th and he'd stay. I think.
Yeah. What are the requirements of those who own them now? What are the requirements they get in the Champions League?
Well,
that was a bare minimum last season.
I think they overshot by probably about 6 years.
You think so?
Yeah, easily.
Oh yeah, I don't think they get anywhere near it last year.
So they think that this year now is pretty much. Do you know what? If you can finish this year, maybe let's say in the top 8, and have a good showing in Europe where you get through to the knockout rounds, that's a good season.
Yeah,
you want there's going to be a trophy there as well for them, because that's it, everyone bangs against them, don't they? How long did you say when your dad was your dad was born before they won a trophy?
But the owners aren't going to care about that, so it's not going to be about that. Like it's just going to be right. Consolidate your position. Don't make a fool out of yourselves, and let's carry on and see where we go with this investment of money in another year.
We are talking Saudis, so.
That's true.
I was going to say something really bad then.
We were all thinking it.
I was setting it up,
and I didn't.
So say something even worse and tell me your top 4.
Okay. First of all, I think Pochettino will be gone in 18 months at Chelsea. I really do. I think that.
But it wouldn't surprise me if he won something.
That's standard Chelsea as well.
Doesn't mean anything. He might win something, but I think he'll be gone in 18 months because that club now is run basically like, again, a football manager simulation where it's, let's just try and hoover up people who we think are going to be 5-star players in X amount of time, and football doesn't really work like that. And all these 8-year contracts and with all those loopholes closing, it's going to, like, the situation's going to end up probably in a head in about 12 to 18 months, and he's going to be like, this is nonsense, and something bad's going to happen. My top 4, thinking completely off the top of my head, is...
I did send everybody the questions.
I'm not thinking...
by the way.
He's got the tension after this.
I mean, you should know that it's not like I'm not going to ask this anyway. It's like a mad question to ask for a Premier League prediction. Like, who's going to score the most goals with their right foot from outside the box? Right?
I'll be honest with you. That's question 6, by the way. I'll be honest with you. Anyone who asks me to do homework, you could go back and chat to my year 3 teacher. I'm not doing it. Yeah. Too busy sitting watching the Kardashians, which I've got mega into, by the way. Oh my god, incredible! Like, these people have conversations and they don't listen to each other. Mad. Anyway, no one looks.
Like this.
Talking about it.
So top 4. I think Arsenal definitely finished second. I think that's pretty much bob on because there is a lot of quality in that squad, and they've sort of given, like with Rice coming in, he's one of them players who you know you're going to get at the bare minimum 7.5 out of 10 every single week, which is what you need from a holding midfielder to really control a football match. And he's going to do that home and away and win them a lot of points that Arsenal really don't really win.
Like a Goodison.
That sort of game where it's like they need someone to sit in the middle of the park, really control the game and not let the crowd get on top of things and let the atmosphere get to them, which is what happens to Arsenal when they come to us every year, isn't it? Apart from the years when the bad things happen. Third is one of them where it's like it's up for grabs. I think United, because I think of United in that same sort of joyless juggernaut that I think of City, where they will hoover up so many players that it's almost impossible to fail, but they still see it as failure, which is really horrible and gratuitous and nasty. Because if you finish third with any other team in the world, you go, oh, great, yeah, brilliant, let's have a nice away day, but most of them don't really care about that, and it's just horrible. And there'll be lots of players there that will be deeply unhappy, and they'll leave next season, and they'll do it all again, and like knacker every. I was going to swear then, didn't. And
I think you're allowed to swear.
Am I allowed to swear?
You think about swearing?
And they'll fuck up everyone's everyone's transfer plans, which happens every season because you just throw an inordinate amount of money at someone, and it's just like, okay, well that's how it goes this season now, which is awful. It happens to us every year. I feel like they've knackered our transfer plans for the last 3 years with some form. And then fourth's the really interesting one, I think, because you could lash 3 or 4 teams there and make a really good case because it's actually quite wide open. I think the Reds will be alright. I do think they'll be alright. I think especially if they go and get a really solid holding midfielder. Like if they get someone like Caicedo, you're a bit like, okay, that's suddenly a very good midfield. Yeah. I think they'll be alright. I think it'll be between them and Spurs. And I think Spurs, I think short term, if they lose Harry Kane, they might not get top 4 this year. Long term, it's the best thing that could happen to them right now. He's 30 years of age, you get 100 million quid for him. Yeah. Maybe you already spent it, maybe you haven't. And suddenly you have a massive vacuum where you need a player with a really, really good, solid mentality to walk into. And they've got Richarlison sat there. It's like he's the sort of player who just goes, oh, there's a big space there. Well, I'm going to fill that space. And he does that, and it's what he's great at. Which is a shame, because if Harry Kane stays, suddenly Richarlison is probably available for loan in January, which would be really nice.
Do you not think Dan Jim would be closer to these? He'd probably get a game now, wouldn't he?
He might just rescind the loan.
So who you going for fourth?
I will go for the Reds. I think they'll do it.
Les?
Mine.
I love that you didn't say
I'm going to go reverse order. Big red, bigger red, other red.
So, you need to explain
You need to explain that.
Can I do this? That means Liverpool second. That means United third. Arsenal fourth.
That's the one. Yeah.
Should we go Arsenal be fourth?
No, sorry, I went the other way around.
Oh my god. No, I think you got it right. Mike got that wrong.
I did the other way around too.
You just wanted to say I got it right.
You said Liverpool fourth, United third, Arsenal second, City.
So the same as me.
Basically.
Why didn't you just say the same?
I want to do the big red, bigger red thing.
Oh, you wanted to do
just
a king?
Just in case there's any cop-outs listening, because they won't like the big red, bigger red.
I don't think they're getting this far in, to be honest.
They're probably not.
They want to turn off at my water.
You would be surprised.
If I was you,
There has been comments.
if I was you, I love that. He sounds like a mid-50s housewife. There's big comments.
I basically am. To be honest.
Well,
Have you
what
done
I
yours?
should do is clip it on YouTube and put a little timestamp in of you and just put bigger red.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, unfortunately, I do think Liverpool will be alright, as Mike said, this season. I think if you're looking for a wild card for fourth, because I think as most of us have agreed, it's probably going to be Arsenal, United, second, third. I think maybe look at Brighton. I don't know, as that wild card maybe, you know, they could
I think they've
take
got
everyone by surprise.
I think they've got like one of the top 4 managers in the league.
Yeah, so I think if you want someone sort of thinking a bit like, well, out of any established teams you get it, I think they're probably most likely.
I think Villa will be too busy having fun.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
Like, in that sort of like, lads, we are just going to milk this for all. Same way West Ham did last season, where it's like, we're just going to milk this for all it's worth, and it's going to be a laugh.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. Like that's mine as well. Like I think Liverpool will concede a lot, but they'll score like tons. Like it wouldn't surprise me if they were the top scorers in the league, but concede like as many as us. I think they're going to have that sort of season. But we're sat here now and they've not signed Caicedo. I think if they sign him, I think they could get third or push for second.
But again, even if they sign a decent holding midfielder, you'd still look at that squad and go, yeah, okay, you could probably get fourth place.
They've got like 5. I don't want to talk too much about them. They've got 5 elite forwards, haven't they? You can call on. Like maybe not Nunes, but like, he scored like 20 goals last year in no competition still. Like as much as everyone takes the piss out of him. Like they've got 5 forwards who are good. But anyway, enough about them. We'll save the relegation predictions until the Everton bit.
That sounds like a good
That's a good
What
point.
an optimistic season we're going
just a tease.
Anyway, moving away from the Reds.
Just in case anyone's like doesn't want to listen to the next bit but want to hear about that. But to finish this bit off, I asked you all, and Mike, you might have to go last here, but your biggest surprise, what's going to be your biggest surprise this season in the Premier League? And I don't know how you're prepared for this, but has anyone got one straight away?
My biggest surprise was going to be that Newcastle don't finish in Europe and Eddie Howe gets sacked. But that doesn't sound like much of a surprise to anyone because most people have said it, so it's like...
I could fully see that happening.
Yeah.
But again,
I think it'll be a surprise.
The thing with Eddie Howe is I think they've probably, like you said, Mike, they've gone very early on where they thought they'd be. So I reckon there's part of that club itching to get rid of Eddie Howe now because I don't know because it's like he could quite easily, and I hope he does become Roberto Martinez. He's definitely got that potential in him that he has a banging first season. Like Martinez probably should have finished fourth, flapped it right at the end. Newcastle didn't. I think
the only way you get sacked is if like say one of the top managers in the league becomes like available.
Yeah.
And they're like 14, 15.
Well,
and they just think like let's go for it.
I don't even think 14, 15. I think sort of teetering on the edge of like 8th, 9th, 7th. I don't know. Around there.
I think that'd be enough for him. I think he's got enough goodwill in the bank there now.
I could see it happening because you don't know like the ownership model and how they might interpret what happened last season to what might happen next season. I could see it happening. It wouldn't be the most unlikely thing, but it'd still be quite unlikely, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's just got to keep his head, hasn't he?
I mean, let's move swiftly on from that. Anyone else got a surprise they want to?
I think Andre Onana from United is going to be an absolute flop. They've spent massive money on him. Do you remember when Schmeichel left United and it took them years to replace him?
Yeah.
And they got like that Taibbi, do you remember Taibbi?
Oh my God, Taibbi!
And he let
didn't
those
he
2
wear
goals.
Kecks?
Yeah,
he did, didn't he? Never get a keeper that wears Saki
They
Kecks.
made this big deal about him. Came from Italy, you know, renowned for producing top goalkeepers, and he came in and let two in through his legs on his debut at Old Trafford. Got beat 4-1. Was it against Southampton? Was it Letizia?
Southampton weirdly had they had quite a knack of doing United quite heavily in the 90s, didn't they?
It's that famous game where they had to change
The great
all
hit,
the time, wasn't it?
Who was the other keeper who wore trackies? Was it the Palace keeper?
Gabor Kirali.
Is that him?
Yeah.
Remember him? Baldy fella?
Yeah.
He was great.
But yeah, I just think Onana again. it's a strange position at Man
50
United.
million on these fans, haven't they? Like,
Yeah, I just did you see pre-season already? He's been lobbed from the halfway line. He just looks. I just think he'll be like a rabbit in the headlights. He's the reincarnation of Massimo Taibbi.
Do you know what's really funny about that goal? Like, because he's a new signing and like United have got like this massive social media presence. Like, everyone's been like, oh, it wasn't his fault. Like, it was the defender's fault. Do you know, like that new sign always gets that like few months grace, don't they? Over anything they do, it's like you can miss an open goal. It's like, oh, the pass into him was bobbling, or
it's the Mo Bettich 10.
It was like, it's like he's been lobbed from his own half. Like, of course, it's the goalie's fault.
Do you know what the funniest thing about that was as well? Is that I saw this quote tweet that got like loads of likes and stuff, and it was like, yeah, you're all commenting on it, but you didn't see what happened before the shot. And I was expecting it to be like, they must, lost the ball in a bad area, the keeper had to rush out, and he's been caught out. But like with Joe Hart, with Wayne Rooney, it wasn't anything like that. There was one of the fans had recorded it from the side. He's about 40 yards outside his goal having a ciggy. And he just suddenly realised, he was nowhere. It was a joke. And you think of all the times to do it on your home debut. I know it's pre-season, but come on now.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a catastrophe for them.
The thing with United is as well, they are the club who can swallow up a player.
Yeah.
Right, there's better players than him who've gone there and just died on their arse.
Yeah. Sancho.
That's the kind of club they are.
It's like us on steroids. They will just take a player in and just cave out his soul. Yeah. Like if you look at Harry Maguire now, to when he left Leicester, that's a shell of a man.
Can I take you back to the 80s quickly?
Go for it.
But like,
I'd love it.
Peter Davenport.
No idea who that is.
He was.
I'll go everyone's went, oh.
I know, there you go. I'd like to do this, Kate.
I know you do.
I can't help it. So he was like a brilliant player for Forest, goal scorer, went to United, did all right, but was never quite the same player at all. It's one of those things where it is that kind of club where it gets a bit much.
Mark Bosnich, but I think he was the first one. He was great at Aston Villa. He went to United completely. The Man United goalkeeper position is like Chelsea's number 9, where you can get anyone to wear that shirt, and as soon as they put it on, they fall to pieces. Yeah. Look at like when Shevchenko, Crespo to a lesser extent. When you look at the amount of players who've gone to Chelsea as their number 9,
I always
Torres. What's his name?
I was going to say Adrian Mutu, but he did like.
He had a great
Mutu and Bosnich, my best mates.
Do you remember the mate he used to get around him?
We're going to say allegedly. Allegedly.
Do you remember that? I'd love to see 5 of those lads doing this stage. The class.
Do you remember that song Chelsea had? When they had Mutu and we had Wayne Rooney.
They had more than one song.
Who needs Wayne Rooney when we've got Mutu? He scored at Goodison, didn't he?
Yeah. Was that the last time they actually had another song other than Chelsea?
Which is very quick before we go to yours. Like the Onana stuff, like it's just mad. Like one of the main stats accounts put out like a tweet of his stats from one of the pre-season games. It was like 15 forward passes. It's like, where else is the keeper going to pass? Where else is the keeper going to pass the ball? He's going to go backwards, isn't he?
If he's kicking it backwards, you've got a problem.
I know, yeah.
Oh, God. Mike, what's going to be your... You ready?
I can go.
What's going to be your...
I think Brighton will qualify for Europe again.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think Bournemouth will finish in the top 10. I'll give you 2 for the price of 1.
Bournemouth?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Why? I think they've signed some half-decent players. I think they've got a good manager.
They signed a good one today in that Alex Scott.
He's going to be injured a little bit, but when he comes into that side, he's a very good player. I think they'll just be a solid side who will be very, very competent, which is all you really need to finish top 10, isn't it, really?
Alex Scott is the most Bournemouth-sounding player ever as well,
There's only one man more Bournemouth than him, and that's Steve Francis. Like, that's it.
Adam Smith at right back.
I'll be honest, when I saw the tweet that they'd signed Alex Scott, I was like, she retired like 5 years. I watch a lot of women's football, that confused the life out of me, and then I saw the photos, I was like, oh, right, okay, yeah, fair enough.
On the risk of getting sacked, that's exactly what I thought as well. There's no way that she's got time to play footy because he's on every single show.
But I think Brighton will qualify for Europe again. Okay. I just think they're a quality manager. I can't believe he's still there. Yeah. I'm surprised that absolutely no one has taken, like, it's not even a punt, is it? Why would you say a punt? He's just very good at what he does, and the squad is quite settled. It's very good. And
I think the striker Ferguson's going to have a.
Yeah.
He looks boss, doesn't he?
Won't be there long either, will he?
No.
yeah, it's one of them where, like, even in flashes against us, when we beat them, you just saw like moments where you were like, do you remember like the start of Calvert-Lewin where it was like there's something there. There is something there, and you can see it. And yeah, I think that'll definitely come to fruition. And there's just whatever happens with Caicedo, you sort of have the faith in them to know what happens next.
Yeah.
I think like you'd be silly if you didn't at this point. You'd just go, well, they'll bring in someone else for a quarter of the money, as well as another couple of players to keep them going in Europe. Yeah. And yeah, I think they'll have a half decent season.
Seen Davey wears glasses, by the way?
Mental. What is going on there? He's got them off Ian Wright.
Can you describe? I've not seen them.
More
Are they like Dave?
Yeah.
It's more common
Bigger.
wise.
Bigger than
Hang
Dave.
on, you're just ripping his glasses apart. Don't
No,
say,
what I mean,
don't say they're like mine.
It's massive.
Probably about. Come here. Probably about their pair eye.
Is it like Larry David when he does the producers in Kerr?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Right,
Yes,
right.
it is.
Right.
It's not great.
I'm going to throw a massive bomb in the middle of this, and Big Red's back. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold will be probably the midfielder of the season.
Do we have to do this?
Wait there.
Wow.
They are big glasses.
Okay.
We'll get a picture of that in this. But yeah, the thing that has been, well, he's going to be the.
Can we put a moustache on that as well?
He's going to be the assistant captain, isn't he, to the keeper. And they've
No, Van
been.
Dijk's the captain.
Sorry?
Van Dijk's the captain, isn't he?
No, it's not, is it? I think is he
it's
the
Van
captain
Dijk,
then?
yeah.
I do not know enough about them, and I'm happy about that.
I just think that he's been kicked off about playing right back for a long time, and that's rightly so. They should have changed him into midfield, but attribute-wise, what are you looking at me like
People
that?
people definitely turned off.
They haven't turned off. They just want to kick off on me, but I can handle it. I just think he's going to be outstanding for them in midfield.
I don't think he will. He can't defend.
That's what I'm saying. He's in midfield for. That's why you bin him out of right.
Can't midfield
He
either.
can't midfield because he can't defend.
I'm not talking about defensive midfield.
Are you going to play him as number 10?
No, not at all. I'm
Someone's
talking.
going to need to defend.
I'm talking about the middle of a three. Sorry, the right hand side of a three.
Yeah.
Or even if they play a 4 midfield, you put him on the right hand side. I just think he'll be given any responsibilities defensively, and that's why the way he is and the way he hits a ball is going to be on all free kicks, like he is anyway, and he won't have the responsibility to try and stop
think-
people from attacking.
I think he'll take some really good free kicks like he always does. I think he'll let in some really horrendous mistakes like he always does.
But that's why you take him out of right back.
Yeah, but if you put him somewhere else, he's still going to make the same mistakes.
Well, in effect of what you've said about if they went and got Caicedo, then he's not getting in the midfield, let's face it, really, is he?
Well, there you go.
But again, he is, of course, he is. Yeah,
I mean,
he'll,
he is.
yeah, he'll be their
In the
best
midfield.
I thought he was talking about...
He'll be the best. Caicedo will be their best midfielder.
I'm not talking about him. I
He's
said
talking about-
Trent's not going to get in if they
Yeah.
get my Caicedo.
Well, he'll go back to right back, won't he?
I mean, my
So
thing,
it's all fucked.
my thing on that is, right, any dickhead can play fullback. Right, midfield is dead hard.
Midfield is hard.
Midfield, dead. But anyone can play fullback.
Well, the other thing as well about
Andy Robertson can do it.
But midfield as well, you've got to. One of the main things is you've got to be able to take on instructions. Now, if that lad doesn't learn how to play right back after playing it his entire life,
It's more comfortable in midfield, though,
do you know
isn't
what I
it?
mean? He's not able to take the
I-
instructions.
I-
to
No, I
learn
mean,
how to
the entire thing is more comfortable if you've not got to defend being in midfield.
Dave, that's not a pair of jeans.
But I get what you mean about but in terms of attributes, I get what you're saying completely, because like David Beckham, for example, David Beckham was never, like, let's be honest, as an all-round technical footballer, he wasn't the best, but what he did have was a great cross on him.
From midfield.
From midfield,
Yeah.
and that was it. So, you know, in theory, could he do that? I see what
I
what you're
think
saying.
the jury's still out on it, because did he play there, less than 10 games last
Yeah.
season? Like, it felt like they went to that system because they had to, because it's like, we may as well do something mad because
we're not gonna do
Yeah,
anything.
we're not going to do anything else. And like, it's one of them where it worked for a bit, but teams might, now they've had more time to look at it, might find it out.
It's hardly Leighton Baines for the lounge.
No, Baines would have been better.
Fuck's sake, was he trying to be on edge? You don't have to keep kicking off. But thanks for listening to the Red Room.
No, I had that red propaganda. Mine is that I think Brentford might go down. Oh, God's great organising there. Yeah.
I like that.
Because
That crossed my mind.
I think we're going to have a tough start, obviously, with no Ivan Toney. And I also feel like if a good team sacks their manager, then they'll go for him.
The keeper just gone
And
as well.
And Raya's
Raya's
going,
gone.
obviously. I think they've signed another... got so many centre backs. They signed that Collins, didn't they, from Wolves? And it's like, you've got loads already.
How long is Tony out for?
He can come back in January. But I feel like by then, Frank might have been poached. Like, say if it went terribly for Postecoglou with Tottenham,
Chelsea.
or Chelsea, or like if it went badly for Tottenham, they'd go and get him, I reckon. And he's
Surprised he's still there, to be fair, mate.
I think he's a bit weird, but he's a good manager, I think, isn't he?
That's one of them in January where Isak gets injured for Newcastle and Newcastle just buy Tony.
Yeah.
And they're suddenly like, oh my god, what do we do?
We've been waiting for this fella all season, and now he's gone. He's not even going to play for us. So that's my one anyway. But if you want to hear who we think is going to go down, tune into the Everton section.
Can I go for a Wino?
If you listen to this podcast, part 2 will be out soon. If you're watching this on YouTube, enjoy this advert about whatever your algorithm says you should be watching.
Dick pills.